Today's Cosplay Con Talk episode is sponsored by Moco Queen Color Contacts. Don't forget to use my code Wayne for 10% off at checkout at mocoqueen.com. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's episode.
How's it, everyone? Wayne the Unknown here, and welcome back to another episode of Cosplay Con Talk, where we basically discuss everything pertaining to the cosplay community at conventions. We are once again doing another episode of Get to Know That Cosplayer, and I'm joined here by Pacific Northwest cosplayer Sam, or Samazon, or on their Instagram, Samazon Creations, is it?
Yes, Amazon Creations, yes.
Well, again, Sam, thank you for coming on. I guess as anyone can see, they have their cat in the background, so you'll most likely be seeing them throughout the entirety of this interview. So basically, with Get to Know That Cosplayer, we'll be talking about the cosplays you've done, how you got into cosplay, what it's been like going to conventions, and just sharing your entire cosplay and convention experience. With that being said, how long have you been cosplaying for, and what got you into cosplay?
So that's kind of fun because this year is actually my 10th year of being a
Oh,
cosplayer.
nice.
So
Well,
2024 marks 10 years.
Congratulations on being, as what I call it, if you've been cosplaying for 10 plus years, you are considered a cosplay veteran. You have seen, in the past 10 years, you've seen the change of the cosplay and convention community.
Yes, yes. Um, Funny enough, though, I've been going to cons longer than that. I went to my first anime convention actually in 2008, but I didn't start
Oh, nice.
cosplaying until 2014.
Oh, so you
So,
definitely, you were definitely around that time when, conventions and cosplay were becoming more mainstream here in the States.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I,
Nice.
I definitely witnessed the evolution of cosplay, and like going into that, that's actually how I got into cosplay. Was I didn't know what the word was when I first went to conventions. That wasn't really how it was described. It was just dressing up. I've always been into dressing up. I've like wearing fun outfits for Halloween being, my favorite holiday, all of that. But then that Sci-Fi Channel TV show Heroes of
Here's a
Cosplay,
cosplay.
which having met almost everyone on that show at some point, I know none of them have nice things to say. So don't really need to
Oh
go into
yeah,
that.
no, no. I will say this, and I don't care who adds me at this, but here's a cosplay showed a very ugly side to cosplay.
But for some of us, like myself, it did introduce me to the
Oh
fact
yeah,
that it
no.
had it had a word, it had a community, and that there were like all these different conventions, and that they were like close to me. That's how I found out about Wizard World Portland, and I went the second year, which was my first Comic Con in 2014, and the first time I cosplayed. So
Now known
it
as Fan Expo.
yeah, all the iterations and the changes. But yeah, back in 2014 when I went, it was Wizard World PDX, and it was its second year in Portland, and that was the first time I ever cosplayed, and I had half made my costume, which my first cosplay I ever did was Lady Sif from the Thor comics.
She the one with the brown hair from the movies?
Yeah, wore like silver and red. Um,
Okay.
she also like her character was on Agents of Shield for just a little bit.
Oh, that's right. Well, you answered my first question about what your very first cosplay was and what your very first convention was. So, I mean, hey, if people talk about those right away, I will not. I don't have to worry about asking those questions.
It's where
Um,
you get started. I mean, my
huh.
first convention ever was KomoriCon in 2008.
Well, that was when I was up in
No,
Canada.
it was in Portland. It was at the DoubleTree in Portland, and then this in 2009 it was at the Hilton in Portland. It later moved to Washington.
Oh, that's right.
And
There
then
was.
in 2016 it moved back to Oregon and into Portland again because that was when I returned to KomoriCon was in 2016.
Oh, that's right, good, because it was up in Oh God, where was it in Washington?
Vancouver, just right across
Vancouver.
it was right across the river, like not that far at all.
So, KomoriCon 2008, and I've asked a few people about this who've been going to KomoriCon for a long time. I always like hearing their personal experience. KomoriCon is probably one of my favorite cons since I got to go last year. But what was it like going for you back in 2008 when it's like I think this is like when KomoriCon was still like newish.
It like it's so different from KomoriCon now, so different. Um, I was only 14 when I went to my first KomoriCon, so just a little baby. And it was the almost most fever dream like experience because I had never been around that many nerds in one place before. And, coming from like, I was bullied in middle school and I wasn't very popular in high school. I mean, I had nerdy friends, but, you know, nerdy stuff wasn't super mainstream. So to suddenly be
Mm-mm.
around all these people who are talking about the same shows that you've been reading or watching on YouTube in 3 parts because that's how we watched anime.
Oh, yeah. I remember having watched like certain shows and like get like a 5 minute clip, and it's like you'd hope that the next part would be on there.
Yep. So, or like, yeah, just the struggle of trying to watch things and find things, and then suddenly being around all these other people who were like just as nerdy as you. It was a little overwhelming, but also the craziest, like most fun thing ever. Like back in the day, one of the panels that was like super popular I went to both years was Random Panel. It was literally just called Random Panel, and they hosted an annual glomp competition. If
Oh
you remember what
God.
glomping was.
Glove circles, yellow paddles.
Super dating myself right now with all of those, but
Stuff
yeah,
that I'm glad is
gone.
banned. I mean,
Gone and
you still have the whole pay me $5 and I'll slap you or step on you, but you know.
every generation has their thing.
Mhm.
Yep, yep. But yeah, just I don't know. And the quality of costumes back in the day was, nowhere near what it is now, and the availability of things.
Those bright, cheap, shiny wigs.
Everyone using their real hair, even if it didn't match at all, because you just didn't even have an option for a wig. Because like I technically did kind of a Rukia cosplay, but because my hair was black, and there's like no pictures of this. It was bad. You would
Oh,
never,
but
if you saw it, you would never
it
guess.
was one of those. It was one of those like you did because Bleach was popular at the time, and you know,
The
and
top the top cosplays were L from Death
hmm
Note and the Vampire Knight cast because those uniforms were available to be purchased. Um,
Oh yeah, Yuki from Vampire Knight.
yep,
She
yep.
had short
Any
brown hair.
So tons of people could just use their hair for Yuki. So it's super popular. Like Vampire Knight and Death Note were like
And
top
Bleach
two, and
and
Bleach too.
Naruto. Yeah.
Yep.
If anyone's seen Vampire Knight, I was not surprised by that twist.
I
I was.
definitely was, but that's because that was my like early in my
Mm,
anime and manga reading experiences. So I had no idea that those kind
oh.
of tropes were very common.
Oh no! I knew right away before that scene, and was like, um, but yeah. So fast forward. You start cosplaying in 2014. What was that like, cosplaying in 2014, and what con did you attend when you officially started your cosplay journey?
So, like I said earlier, it was Wizard World Portland. So very very big mainstream pop culture convention was what I returned to, and I only went for a single day. I only had Saturday tickets, and I went with my family. I dragged my mom, my dad, and one of my brothers with me because I was like, I don't want to go by myself, but let's all go to this thing because we're all nerds. My I even got my younger brother to dress up at that convention too. He did Matt Smith's doctor from Doctor Who.
Oh, good one, good one.
Yep. Just easy, thrifted the outfit. His was totally thrifted. Mine was half made, half bought pieces, glued together things, just real fun. But we walked in to the convention center and we're just bombarded by all of this nerdy stuff and just walking in and just seeing like if you haven't been to a convention, the first time you walk into a big one, it's like a nerd mecca. You're just like
Oh yeah, no, it's
overwhelmed by
like
like these are my people. And we walk in and we'd been there less than 30 seconds and I get stopped and asked for my first picture of my
oh,
costume and it just kept happening and you can't go anywhere. And then I
mm,
met I met somebody who was in a Thor costume that I'm still friends with today. Travis, who works for Weird Meatery in Portland.
Good place I've yet to go, but
Met
it's on
him
my
at
list.
that very first convention because he was
On my
dressed as
list of
Thor, and I
places
was
to
like, "Hey,
visit.
can we get
Nice.
pictures?" And just numerous other people within the community that I met right away, just at that first event, and just you just felt like you were just welcome into this little bubble, and like I've never met these people, but we just talk, and now we're all friends. And even a decade later, I'm still following and interacting, and catch up with every time I see them at conventions. A lot of these people I met at my first show. I met Mama Samu, another Sam, because she was cosplaying Xena at that convention. I'm like, I love this character. I want to talk to you. And she's like, I love yours. And we've cosplayed together. We've done other things together.
Mama Samo's a great person. They've actually been on this channel too. Really great person to talk to. Highly recommend for anyone after watching this one. Highly recommend go check into that one too.
Yeah, met her at my very first convention, and we've been friends since.
Nice. And I will say, when you're going to a big convention, I call it, so small to medium conventions are Disneyland. Big conventions like Fan Expo, Dragon Con, Anime Expo, all those big ones are Disney World. So
Mm-mm.
like it must have been like a real culture shock. Not only are you officially cosplaying for the first time, but you're also going to a big convention, you know, like Wizard World.
And
Well,
Heroes of
Portland.
Cosplay was still filming that year, so it was still big because they were there. So they
Heroes
still
of
had
Cosplay were. Oh, that's right, they were, huh?
I met Yaya Han that weekend. I met Ivy Doom Kitty was one of the judges. Aaron the Smoke Moran was the host of the costume contest. Because I also entered my first costume contest because it was just a walk-on one, and I was meeting the cosplayers because that's who I wanted to engage with. I was new to the hobby, and Ivy Doom Kitty was just like, "So you're entering the costume contest, right?" And I was like, "I didn't think about it." And she's like, "Oh well, you should go do it." So I did, and I have a video up on my YouTube, and it's not a good video, but I do have video of my.
If you have please send me that. If with your permission, if I could show that.
I will send you the link. But yeah, I have a video of my first walk on stage at that convention in my first costume, and that whole day just felt like a surreal experience, and I was hooked. I have been addicted to cosplay ever since that convention, and interacting with all these people, and just meeting other nerds in person, and other people who like dressing up and like making things, and like watching the same things that I do. Yeah,
Nice. And I imagine you
addicted
weren't
from day one.
expecting. I imagine you weren't expecting when you went to your first big convention and cosplay that. I imagine you didn't expect that you would also enter a walk-on cosplay thing.
Nope, I thought I was going to be watching. I thought I was going to be in the
And then
audience, but
like
instead I was backstage, and I saw the film crews because Ricky did Ash from League of Legends, and
I
her
remember that
bow
one.
didn't light up, and I was backstage while they were trying to find extra batteries to get it to work, and other cosplayers were like, I have this, does this help? So even just seeing the camaraderie of people in that line back there that were like ready to just step up and help, I was addicted. I was so addicted. It was amazing.
Yeah, you're all competing. You're all competing with each other, but at the end of the day, you're there to support one another. I think, and I think that's the one crucial thing that people need to understand about cosplay contests. Like, yeah, you're competing, but it also doesn't hurt to help another person and everything. And I also think that people need to realize that, which kind of brings me to a question. Might as well talk about it now since you're already answering half these questions. I'll be asking later on for this. I'm not complaining.
I'm good at
Um,
talking.
so a question I usually ask when it comes to cosplay competitions, I know your advice here. Advice for someone who wins their first cosplay contest, and advice for someone who may lose their first cosplay contest.
This is great. I've been like in a few contests, and I've definitely like lost more than one, because that's gonna be the norm. Is usually you're gonna lose. So many people enter, and there's usually there's obviously way less prizes than how many people enter.
Mhm.
Never enter for the sake of winning. Never enter for the sake of winning. Enter for the sake of wanting to show off your hard work and connect with other people who put hard work into their costumes, because that's what the craftsmanship competitions are about, is the making of stuff. And even the performance-based competitions, those are people wanting to share stories and express things. So you want to show off and you want to just be proud of the work you're putting on stage, and winning should never ever be the goal. And as long as winning's never your goal, whether you win or lose, you'll be satisfied. So if you lose your first contest, the biggest thing is just, did you have fun and were you proud of what you did? If you can say yes to both of those things, then you did it right. And then if you, on the other side of that, if you win, did you have fun and were you proud of those things? And again, if you can say yes, then you did it right.
Some really sound advice. Because I know there's those people out there, and I've seen recently lately how like people will enter these cosplays that they made and then added some things, and then there's this other person who like did this leather working or did this and that, and they won, and then the other person who like partially made it will get all butthurt. I'm not saying any names because I've seen it on TikTok a while back, but like
Mm.
just there are some people, yeah, it's a competition, and at the end of the day there are people who will like will try these different techniques to with their cosplays. Like it's crazy hearing how people like are doing leather working or armor smithing and something to make their cosplays look so realistic and everything.
The crazy skills people have now for competition and what they bring out is really impressive. And but even if you're doing some of those unique skills, there was somebody who I definitely stopped engaging with because I did not like how they responded to not making it into a competition. They are a leather worker, and leather working is very, very challenging. I love
Hmm.
watching leather working, and I understand like you make one mistake and a whole piece can be ruined because of like how the cuts and the imprint, all of that. They made a costume, and the leather pieces were stunning, but the overall costume was garbage. It didn't look good. Like it's whole picture. You can make the most beautiful pieces, but if the whole picture doesn't look good, I'm sorry, someone who maybe sewed everything and it was easier sewing, but the entire thing looks good, they're going to get picked over an
Hmm.
incomplete piece. So
Oh no, I,
sometimes those, even if you're doing a more difficult skill, if the overall end execution isn't good, then that's a big part of it. Costumes are a
oh
whole look, not parts.
oh I agree. I can't remember his name, but he was on here as a cosplay. I think his name was Jesse. He
I love
cosplayed as
Jesse.
he cosplayed as Edward Kenway from Black Flag, and to give that authentic look, I remember seeing the clip on Here's a Cosplay. He goes to the beach with his partner, and he just basically just plops down in the ocean to give that salty sea smell. Which
Jesse is wonderful.
I gotta commend people going that extra mile to give some authenticity to their cosplay. Anyway, back to conventions. It's a question. These are questions I always ask. So when someone's going to their first convention, whether it's big or small, what advice would you like to give them?
Ooh, first convention. Oh my gosh. Always go with a friend. I think it can be too overwhelming to go by yourself. It's like even if it's somebody who's maybe not as interested as you, still just go with someone you know. Don't go by yourself. It's nicer to not be alone, but you will make new friends, but just having one person with you makes a big difference. Um, the other thing would be try stuff, experience stuff, like check out panels that you maybe didn't like. If you don't know what to do at a con because you've never been to it, try and see a little bit of everything. Like if it has main events, try and see a main event thing. If it has fan panels or like smaller run things, try and go to those. Um, Sometimes there's meetups, different. Follow the convention pages, and if they have community pages, maybe join those. Things to just kind of prep you. But really, it's kind of see what interests you have. Like conventions might have things that are focused on art, things that are focused on writing, animation, costumes, all just random nerd fandom things, and find what you're interested in and try and go for that, I guess, too.
That's some pretty sad advice. And yes, I am a big advocate, as I call it. Always, if you're nervous about going to a con alone, it doesn't hurt to find someone to come with you, even if they're not really big into this kind of stuff, and they're there to support you. Is I call it a convention exit buddy, someone to bring with you when like you don't want to go alone or things just get a little too like hectic and anxiety kicks and all that stuff, and you need like, hey, can we go somewhere so I can like sit down, relax, let's go get something to eat together, and you know, like always have it as as Crush says, from Finding Nemo. Do you have your exit buddy?
Yes. Conventions can be overwhelming, and I guess also like find out if the convention is big enough to have like the quiet rooms. Like Kumo has the away from con room
Mm-hmm.
where you can go and just decompress, because I get overwhelmed by sound a lot of time. I have loop headphones I take to a lot of conventions. Um, so yeah, even knowing you can take a break, you can leave a con and come back. That's what
Oh
your
yeah, no.
badges and wristbands are for, is you can leave and you can come back. So take breaks.
Oh yeah, no. I wholeheartedly, as someone who was doing media for Kuma last year, like just seeing how big it gets. Like, okay, let's go outside. Let's walk around outside. Let's go to Burgerville, get something to eat, and come back and decompress.
Yes, definitely helps.
Another question. When it comes to traveling for a con, whether you're traveling out of town, have you traveled out of state for conventions before?
I've only gone as far as Washington, so I've committed to a 6-hour drive to a con.
Oh, jeez. So I guess advice for traveling for a con, whether it's out of town or out of state, because yeah, you got your local town cons, but then there's like you want to see what your state has to offer, or you want to see what another state has to offer. Um, yeah, advice for traveling out of state when it comes to traveling for a con, and also like booking for a hotel and all that fun adult crap.
Mhm. Oh my gosh. For any kind of travel, really, it's especially with when hotels are involved. Um, Sometimes calling the hotels will give you the better price than anything online. Sometimes just making a phone call, which sucks, and I hate making phone calls. Or if
Mm,
their own website has bookings, usually it can do that can be cheaper. Or conventions having room blocks for their sponsored hotels, that can usually
mm.
save you a couple bucks and be something pretty close
But
to an event.
you got to get on those right away because everyone will want to get,
Yeah, the
especially when
larger
it,
the
especially
convention, the harder it is to get one in the room block for
oh
sure.
yeah, especially if the hotel is literally like right next to the convention, like the Hyatt in downtown Portland.
Yep. The Hyatt, and even a few blocks away, the DoubleTree, both
No
get
double.
booked up so fast, 100% booked up every year for Kumo.
Well, thank goodness you got the Amtrak literally right by the DoubleTree.
hmm hmm But yeah, I guess research the area you're going to. So like the one I traveled the farthest away to was Lilac City Comic Con up in Spokane.
I've heard of good things about that con.
It was a fun little one. It was worth going to once for sure. It's a big travel commitment. I had a really good time. I entered that costume contest. I got second place in the advanced category at that costume contest.
Congrats.
Thanks. It was a big one. It was really really fun. Air Bubbles, who's another Pacific Northwest cosplayer, was one of the judges. Ariel, she's another local, but she was one of them, and a couple other people who I can't remember. But super fun. But we had no idea what food stuff was around, so we did a lot of walking to kind of figure out what was going on.
Always do your research when it comes to looking for food in the area because let's face it, con food is, and I always allow one F word in these, keep it PG-13, but just like a PG-13 movie, you're allowed one F word. Con food can be fucking expensive.
Yes. Luckily, like right around that convention center in Spokane, walking distance is a lot of great food options. So walking for food was really easy up there. And they had this amazing park that has this oversized giant red wagon. And I was cosplaying Vidya from Tinkerbell, the Disney
Oh,
fairies.
I've seen pictures of that giant red
Yes,
wagon.
yeah. Double Mischief went up to Spokane and had some with their
Mm-hmm.
Winx Fairy costumes. That's a
Mm-hmm.
recent cosplayer that I saw post those. But that same red wagon, I got to take some fairy pictures underneath the giant red wagon. So
Nice.
that's up in Spokane,
And
and
you were
that was fun.
Tinkerbell, you said?
I was Vidya from the Tinkerbell movie, so one of the other fairies,
Who's video again?
the fast flying one who wears purple. She's the sassy, mean one.
Oh, okay. The one who tricks Tinkerbell in that one where she gets kidnapped by
Yes,
the human. Okay.
yep, that one. That's
Nice.
Vidya. I did I was a part of a Sunset Dragon group for the fairies, but I took that costume to that convention, and it was small enough that you're like, oh, we might as well enter this costume contest because there's not a ton to do, and I ended up winning, and it was fun because it was a gift card to a local game store, so I just got to go pick out a bunch of stuff.
Hey, can't go wrong with a gift card for nerd stuff.
It was a good time. Good time. But yeah, definitely research food options around where you were going. Um, so calling the hotel for better deals or room blocks and researching your food that'll be there. Those are the biggest tips. And parking. If you're driving
Oh
in, knowing where you're parking and how much that's going to be, because most of the time it's not included with tons of places anymore.
no,
So
I mean, like for example, like down in Sacramento, like I think it's Saturday or Sunday they have free parking, but from experience going down to Sacramento with a friend of mine, just parking for any type of big con is not going to be easy because everyone's going to be parked near said con.
mhm. No,
That's
like even you talked about the like the how we have the TriMet right next to the convention center up
hmm
in Portland. That was how we got to my first convention. Even back in 2014, we parked like across the river and took it across to like right by the convention center. So because my family wanted to park somewhere really cheap where it was only like $5 for the day instead of
oh yeah,
20 or whatever.
oh yeah, no, the TriMet is like only $5 for like it's a good price for someone who used that quite a bit last year going to and from the outskirts of Portland to like city center. Like
Hmm.
it's definitely a commute, but it's worth it. Let's see here. Another question. Oh yeah. Check weather for conventions because let's face it. When you're up here in the Pacific Northwest, the weather can change on a dime.
Yes, I will say a lot of times for cosplayers, it won't matter what the weather's gonna be because they're gonna wear whatever costume they were planning regardless. But for your normal person clothes and your extra things that you need to pack, definitely check the weather.
And also, as I will say this because we're getting when it comes to this time of the year, the roads get icy. And I'm familiar with the whole Fan Expo Portland thing about earlier this year, how people were
Oh,
getting into
Snowmageddon. The
accidents,
Snowmageddon.
getting into, and
Yeah.
then it sucks. No one can control the weather. I get, it sucks that people couldn't go back to the con. It's just things that a con really can't control. I will say that. I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, drive safe, be safe. It's not always worth. If the weather's really bad, yes, I know it sucks that you don't want to miss, but sometimes I think it's best to hold off because you don't want to risk getting stuck in that town and not being able to go, or potentially driving and getting into a car accident.
There's always another convention. There's
It is,
always
and I
another
get it.
convention.
People are saving this money. The artists are saving this, and it sucks because a lot of artists rely on conventions for their income.
Hmm. Selling at conventions is a whole crazy world and it is stressful and challenging and yeah, yep.
No,
But
yeah, no,
sometimes things are out of your hand.
exactly. And I know overall, like every artist is like being surrounded by the other artists, the other vendors that are selling like the knockoff, Hatsune Miku figures and everything. It's just I commend local artists who are trying to, because again, they have their not only do they have their regular job, but they also have this where they, are trying to sell their stuff to get recognition. And I'll always support local artists at conventions. Which brings me to another question, another thing. Save, have a budget when going to a con.
Yes, yes, yes. Have a budget and try to stick to your budget.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree. So I think this is going to be a new question I'm going to be asking now when it comes to buying things at a convention. And you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. If you can remember, what is the most you ever spent in Artist Alley or a vendor's hall at a con, and what was
Mm,
it?
mm, mm. Um, so I buy pins and art and prints and things and
Ooh,
stuff a lot, but I definitely got really into collecting very specifically all of the Ghost Neko stuff from KomoriCon for
ooh, good stuff.
reasons.
Good stuff, by the way.
So it's like I know it's not even Artist Alley, but literally the most I spent in one sitting ever was at the KomoriCon merch booth when I was like getting my base like whole collection. Like they have the Ghost Neko Ida bags. I have one and it is full, and I want to cry looking at it with how much money I spent on it.
You don't have to say how much money you spent, because I know Ita bags in itself are not cheap.
I was like, I have every single Ghost Neko pin that was available to the public.
And like it's like worth it, and then just a single tear dropping down your cheek.
But I do remember there was like an actual like artist in Artist Alley who just had so many pins that I wanted. I'm okay saying the amount I spent on this one. So this was the most I dropped in one setting at a convention on an artist, and it was $155 on a single artist, and all I got was a mass collection of her pins because I was obsessed. They were so pretty. I can't even remember the artist's name right now, but she had they're pride worms.
Oh, I've seen those.
Yeah, that's what like drew me in was the worms. But then she had a Shishomaru pin, and no one ever has cute Shishomaru merch. And he was my first anime crush when I was 11 years old. I know he's toxic. Don't judge me. I was a child.
I mean, if I'm not going to be mistaken, people always fall for the toxic character in fandoms. I mean, they shouldn't.
He was just so pretty.
I mean, fair.
But no one ever has really cute Shishomaru merch, and so it had that. And then there was like stuff my partner liked because she had like a little Spyro and like the little fairy sprites that go with him, and that's like one of his childhood favorites. So there was just a bunch, and we just literally picked out this whole collection. And that was my whole budget for the weekend. I was like, I just want these, and I didn't buy anything else anywhere else in that convention that weekend.
No, it's fair, and I'm sure you can also agree that. And I know some people, it's your money. Do with what you will. I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money or where to spend your money, but like if it's day one at a convention, it's best to save your money, because if you spend all your money on day one, you will have nothing left for food. Set a budget for what you want to get, but don't spend it on day one. Yes, it may suck that they may not have. So I remember on literally day two, going back into Artist Alley at KomoriCon, a lot of the vendor stuffs was gone almost.
I like, so for the pins that I bought, I looked on those I looked at them on a Friday, and I bought them on a Sunday morning. So it's like that's usually how I do. I was still thinking about them, I still wanted them, and that was the only thing I bought.
I mean, it's a good thing they had that extra inventory, because it's so rare seeing some artists have like extra inventory as soon as day two's going through.
It really just depends on what's happening. And then, but I would say like sometimes if you're looking at something and you really like it, some artists have like things limited to like one because it's handcrafted or individual. Sometimes if you really want it, you do just have to jump on it. But hopefully you have a budget.
Oh, because you also need food too and other things.
And my spending budget and my food budget are separate.
Yeah.
Food budget is its own thing.
No, because before you go to the con, you're like, because me and my sister, we have this thing like, we'll try to eat before going to the con, and then while we're at the con, we'll while halfway through, it's like, okay, well, let's go find like the nearest place, or if you're lucky, like we were at a con this year, we just DoorDashed Burger King to the con.
Sometimes those delivery services really help out and make things pretty easy and convenient.
And you just go outside and just eat, because again, let's face it, con food is expensive. So I'm not even wondering how much the Dragon Boat food was at con, because I was so tempted to get from there, but it's like, those lines are long. Let's just get a $10 hot dog and call it good.
There was one within the convention at KomoriCon that we ate because I was running a table, so I couldn't leave necessarily during the day. And on the Sunday they had rice bowls, but on the other 2 days it was mac and cheese with brisket in it. But they were like really, really good, and they were like $10 to $12 bowls, so they were a little expensive, but very filling and very worth the price. And that's been becoming more consistent at the food within the convention center, because those were also at Rose City. So for at least the Oregon Convention Center, some food options are getting better inside.
Mm-hmm. No, I liked
expensive.
I like their little coffee shop at at the convention center. And another thing I've noticed about the Oregon Convention Center, because I didn't know what it was at first, they have vending machines with stuff you can buy in them, like
Mm-hmm.
artwork and everything and pins. I've never seen vending machines that has like people's artwork in them. That was
Oh,
like the
those were
coolest
neat.
thing ever.
I think they added those just last year because they were like new last year. Because I didn't remember them before, but they did like that big remodel in like
Hmm.
2018, I think. I
Last
don't
year's my
remember.
first time
Like,
going. Um, let's see now. I
one of the
guess.
Ghost Neko pins says I survived the construction of I think 2018, which is the reason I know because the con ran like was still in the convention center while it was under construction. Yeah.
Let's see here. Talk about that. You already answered all that. I guess. So, what are your planned conventions for 2024? And what is your, as I call it, a dream con? Is a con you always wanted to go to, but right now it's just not in the budget travel wise.
Oh my gosh. Well, for conventions I have planned for the end of this year, there's nothing left for me. And in 2025, I literally have nothing 100% confirmed right now for the first time in a long time. Usually I'd be like, I'm going to Rose City and KomoriCon like 100%. I'm probably going to both of those, but it's not 100% for the first time in like 10 years, which is kind of weird. Just, things changing. But DreamCon that I've always wanted to go to, but it's never in the budget and the planning, would be DragonCon.
Oh yeah, that's everyone's. I mean that's personally my dream con because it's just like it's a con for fans by for
I
the
want
community
to
by the community.
experience it once.
Oh, one of my favorite voice actors goes to that con constantly. So,
Just,
you know,
I feel like so many people go.
oh
It's
no. And I've talked to quite a few people who live on that side of the states who have gone, and I'm just like, I always love hearing about their experiences. Like, it's definitely a party con held at like three different hotels connected by a sky bridge, and it's just like, even if it's just for like a day, I'd be happy.
I want the experience. I want to see what all the
All the
crazy
hype is.
shenanigans are like at DragonCon because I always hear the craziest stories, the most fun stories, and it's just like, okay, I need to witness this
In
once.
person. Like you definitely need to go to it's a con that I think that's on a lot of people's list. Like if they can go
Mm,
just once, like if I can go just once, I'd be happy. Like okay,
yep,
I did this. What's the next?
yep.
Now to cosplay questions. You already answered some of them. Advice for cosplayers on a budget or someone who wants to get into cosplaying for the first time, but they're kind of scared because they see people like Yaya Han, Mole
Mm,
Cosplay,
mm, mm,
or oh god, what's her name? She goes by Kamuya Cosplay. They see that and they think that's
mm.
what cosplay is, but they're like scared because they don't know what to do or think. Advice.
Well, I mean, even referencing Kamui, I think it's fantastic because she very, very regularly shares her first costume ever, which was this crazy looking little Moogle
Oh yeah,
outfit.
I've seen her. I've seen her. I think that was like what back in 2013. I think that was.
I don't even remember 2012, 2013, something like that.
Oh
Like
yeah,
when
I
she
remember
first
seeing
started.
her Moogle cosplay from Final Fantasy. Really well done cosplay. It'd be cool if she could like ever would like bring that back though.
But seeing just like the quality of that versus what she makes now and just showing where you start. Everyone starts somewhere. Um,
Hmm.
my first costumes definitely were a higher caliber right away compared to the average person starting, but that was because I had costuming experience a little bit prior. I've always been a crafty person. Like I said, I've always been dressing up. Um,
Nice.
I didn't officially start cosplaying till I was 20, but I started sewing at 18 because I was going to Ren fairs. So I
Ooh,
was
so you
I
already have like your foot was already in the door when it came to
yeah.
costume making.
Yeah, so it's like I was already teaching I'm completely self-taught with sewing and like pattern drafting, all of that. I just make it up. I've always made it up. So don't be afraid to try and fail. Don't be afraid to ask veterans questions. This community is so full of people who want to share everything they've learned. Like I've tried and messed up so many different things. Let me tell you what worked, so you don't have to waste your time like I did. There are numerous people like Red Leaf loves sharing the knowledge that she has.
Oh, Red Leaf.
Dusty.
I'm
I'm
familiar with.
like, let's pull people that I know you've probably engaged with.
Oh yeah,
Chaos in Motion, Dusty.
yeah,
She is wonderful at sharing her knowledge. Like lots of.
Dusty.
That's a Dusty Avery is her real name. Chaos in Motion. She did the Tinkerbell at Rose City last year. That one.
Oh yeah.
And then we had Kat win this year with Blackfish.
Nice. And you also got
at Rose City.
you got Mama Samu as well.
Yep, Mama Samu again, super like amazing at sharing information that the skills they've learned. So like, there's tons and tons and tons of cosplayers in our community and any community. So if you just ask people for help, they're always willing to help. So being not afraid to ask questions of your veterans in your community, being not afraid to try and fail, because we all try and fail. And maybe pick something easy to start with. Like starting with Lady Sif wasn't the easiest, so I didn't like sew a bunch of parts. I made certain things. My first costume I sewed everything was Ariel from The Little Mermaid. I picked her town dress because it visually is very simple.
Is that the black and blue one?
Yes, yeah, like a blue top, black corset, blue skirt. Very, very like simple color blocking thing. I did not make any of it correctly, but I looked okay in the end. Like, I look back at that costume now and I have learned so many things, but sometimes it will look good to people looking at it, even if the craftsmanship is really bad. So don't be afraid to start somewhere, because you will get better.
As the old saying go, it looks good on paper, but
The 5-foot rule. If it looks good from 5 feet away, it is good. Unless you're in a competition, that's the rule.
Even like your most seasoned cosplayers, even like, Jessica Nigri and all of them, who've been doing this for a very, very long time, like they still even screw up because, and there's also, because I actually had this conversation with another cosplayer recently, how there are those cosplayers that retired from cosplaying, but they are more than happy to give advice, and they are more than happy to commission cosplays. Like, yeah, no, we're not doing this anymore, but we're more than happy to still provide to the community, for the community, by the community.
So much of what goes into cosplay is a lot of these handcrafted arts, and it's a lot of shared knowledge, and some of this knowledge is being lost. Like people who get into lace making and other things for their costumes, or doing different beadwork, or the fact crocheting cosplays are taking off. Like that's a huge trend that's happening right now, is people crocheting cosplays. And I learned to crochet when I was a child, and people always made fun of me because it was such a granny hobby. And now I'm watching these super creative, crafty people making like rococo looking dresses with like curled wigs because of how they're doing the crochets. Or a friend who did they're doing JoJo cosplays, and they're like all crocheted pieces, and it's so cool because it's taking a fiber art and like changing it up. So I think people get super creative, and sharing their knowledge just helps keep more crafting things going.
Especially people who wear women who wear the hijabs, how they turn it into looking like wigs.
I've
seen like one like they did like a Jinx one, an Ariel one,
Jinx,
Disney
Ariel,
Princess
Sailor
one.
Moon, like
Yeah,
any
like
of them.
that's impressive how you can turn your hijab to look like a wig almost. It's impressive.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of hijab cosplayers, and I'm a huge fan of all of the black cosplayers who use their natural hair or natural like curly natural styles, but like in the whatever.
Like the Sailor Moon one and the Jinx
one. Yes. Just oh my gosh, I love seeing cultural hairstyles or just natural hairstyles brought into cosplay. Like I love those. I'm a huge fan.
No, I agree. Now some other questions. Have you ever worn heels with any of your cosplays?
Yes.
Yes. Advice for whether it's, man or woman cosplayer wanting to wear boots, heels, or anything like that. What advice would you like to give? Because let's face it, I commend anyone who could wear boots, especially when I see cosplayers cosplaying as him from Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah. Nope. If it comes to a convention, bring a change of shoes. Bring your flats. Your feet will get tired. There will be a point where you literally are going to cause damage or physical like pain and actual potential damage to your foot if you don't give yourself a break. Bring a change of shoes. Um, the other thing is like practice walking in your shoes, make sure they're broken in. Research if like taping your toes a certain way helps you, because for certain people, like whether it's like the two middle toes or the end toes, like certain things can relieve different pressure for different people based on their foot. Different pads you can add, different inserts. Try different things, but just always bring a change of shoes. I try and bring color coordinated flats. So if I'm wearing like purple heels, like I had these like crazy purple platforms for the psychic magical Neko I did for KomoriCon a couple years ago. And I could only wear those for like 30 minutes before my ankles started wobbling. So then I had purple ballet flats that I would change into. But then we go take pictures. I put the heels back on. Heels are great for pictures. Don't kill your feet.
Oh
It's
no,
not worth it.
I mean, I've seen people like, and I'm not judging, but like, there are some people I see will walk around con and like their socks are barefoot like that. It's just not good for your feet in general.
I think things are gross. I think the ground is gross. So I say bring flats, bring a change of shoes. Um,
Sandals, flats, whatever.
but I understand the desperation of like going barefoot because your feet hurt so much, and that barefoot option is going to be better than wearing those heels continually. So the
Hmm.
biggest is just bring a change of shoes.
Oh yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree on that. Another question: you've done makeup for your cosplays. Have you done? If I'm not mistaken, you've done full body paint. If I'm not
Mm-hmm.
mistaken, because
Mm-hmm.
you've done. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you did Persephone from Lore Olympus.
I've done about 9 different Lore Olympus costumes. I
Really
did
well
I did
done, by
I
the
did a
way.
rainbow. Thank you.
I
Um,
actually remember seeing the one picture was just the rainbow palette of all the
yeah.
different characters from Lore
Yep.
Olympus from what was it? Persephone, Nymph, Hera, and I can't remember the other ones.
I had Ares, Hades, like a femme Hades. I did Artemis. Not all of them were included in that rainbow because I did like a couple multiples of like Aphrodite and Artemis are both purple, so I only
Mhm.
included one of them. Hades and Hecate are both blue, so I only put one of them in the rainbow lineup. But yeah, so yeah, I've done body paint, and I actually like my first full like in 2016. So I know I started cosplay in 2014, and I immediately went on a deployment because I was in the military.
Thank you for your service, by the way.
So like I started was like at 2 cons and then disappeared for a year, and then I came back and went to Rose City uh, in 2016. That I did a body paint cosplay at a convention. That's the only time I've done it. Like, well, I did roller derby Harley Quinn from the New 52
Ooh,
comics, and I wore
ooh.
that costume to.
I love New 52 Harley Quinn, and I will always be a fan of her classic Jester outfit, but that's just me being biased.
I was like, I was not a Harley Quinn fan until the New 52. I
That's
actually,
that there's nothing wrong with that.
I don't like her when she was with Joker. So in New 52 is when the New 52 Harley Quinn is all post Joker
Post Joker,
Harley.
and like she's with Ivy and everything, which I think those two are a great couple. Again, me being
So,
biased.
and I was also skating for my local roller derby league at the time, so I saw her artwork where she was on skates, and I was like,
Eh,
I
I got
need
to
to
do
do
that.
that because I skate. I even emailed Rose City. I emailed the convention center, and then I emailed Rose City being like, can I wear roller skates in the convention? Because the convention center website says it's down to the event to approve it. And
Hmm.
then so then I got an email back from the convention saying like, yes, you can wear this. So I was on roller skates with a giant hammer in full body paint
Nice.
rolling around that convention, and I did the costume contest, and I had to go upstairs on my toe stops, and they had a band play on the stage, so there's all these chords, so I'm like stepping over chords and then spinning and like posing.
Oh
And
god,
every all the
if
staff
you
were
have a
just like,
picture of that, yeah, you got to show that if you have a
I
picture.
think I think I have a couple saved from like I think there was one official image from Rose City that I can try dig up and send to you. Cause yeah, it's like it's me posing on stage and you can just see all these cords and wires all over the ground. But all the staff are
Nice.
just like, oh my God, is she gonna fall? I don't have video of that one, but I think there's a picture.
Also, real quick, thank you for your service, by the way.
Thank you.
Always gotta support those who are still active or ex-military or any service branch. You know. Got to commend that. And I've noticed quite a bit of cosplayers are service members. I've noticed
The military is full of nerds. There are
nerds.
I started playing D&D on deployment. That was how I got introduced to D&D.
Nice.
The 5e came out in 2014 while I was deployed, and a bunch of the guys bought the books and they were like, "Hey, we want to do this thing. You want to play with us?" And that's how I got introduced to D&D. So I was spending we only had Sundays off.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was working construction stuff. I trained in electrical. I was building like housings and things like that. So carpentry and electrical work. But so on Sundays we would our leadership let us use the headquarters building because since I was the only girl wanting to play, we couldn't play in barracks. So they gave us the big conference room to play, and we would
Nice.
play for like 12 to 15 hours. We'd go get our food and bring it.
That's your standard session.
Yeah, so that was my introduction to D&D, was just full on let's play for hours and
Nice.
hours and hours every single week, and that because we had nothing better to do.
Nice. So back to the makeup. Advice for someone
Mm.
who wants to do makeup: would you recommend the, as I call it, the arm palette test to make sure you are not allergic or you don't break out?
100% with anything. I've done a makeup and FX panel actually at KamoriCon last year.
Oh, that's
No,
right.
2 years ago. 2 years, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was body paint and SFX, and I 100% had a slide and always talk about doing the preferably the soft skin of your forearm,
right here.
because that is the closest sensitive. Without doing it somewhere more sensitive, that's the closest you're gonna get to a similar reaction to your neck or face.
Less chance of it seeping into your skin, and next thing you know, you break out and you look like
Yeah.
a lot. You just look like a zombie from The Last
Yeah,
of Us.
if you actually have a reaction, it's easier to treat on your wrist than somewhere else where it'd be much more uncomfortable. So no, I am super, super all about testing every single one of your products, making sure they're within date. Don't use expired things. It is not worth your health. And I personally not super into contacts, like color contacts.
Fair.
Too many horror stories. I don't like putting things in my eyes to begin with. I don't wear contacts. So I'm sure people who have experience actually wearing them, they can have their own things. But if I'm really worried about my eye color, a photographer can edit the pictures for me.
Mhm.
So I'm
Exactly.
all about health over
Yeah,
fashion.
and always do your research on contact lenses. Look at the different websites and everything and whatnot.
And know that every person's eyeball is different. So you should see a doctor before ever wearing your first pair of contacts, because some people can't wear contacts because you might have a weird shape that causes a air pocket or some other issue that can cause damages, scratches, all kinds of things.
Oh yeah, no, that's why I plan on looking into contact lenses before before I cosplay as Geralt from The Witcher, because I want to make sure my eyes won't get hurt putting in contacts before I wear yellowish looking contacts or blue contacts for Agent 47 from Hitman, because you just don't know.
Yep. And like if for people who do want to do contacts, as long as you do it safely, like go you, all you. But I'm also going to be an advocate for the people who, like, every character I do has blue eyes, and they will all have blue eyes unless edited otherwise. They will all have blue eyes.
And I'm sure for those who don't want to do a full-on body paint, there are full-on body suits. Like
We
from
love color. We
We Love
love color.
Colors. Yes, I've seen their new full-on body suits. Like it's a full-on body suit with like from here all the way to hands, and even like they even like have separate toe things too now.
Mhm. They
Yeah.
also have color like matching reference sheets with one of my favorite makeup brands, Mayron, which is a US based makeup company.
Good makeup brand. I have used Mayron.
Whether it's their water based or oil based, they are a US based makeup company. They've been used like on Broadway for like 100 years and like a bunch of other things. Like it, makeup can be iffy. There's other like body paint artist Made You Look. Made You Look has her own line of water activated body paints. I have some and they are wonderful. But Mayron,
I watched their YouTube. Really good work.
Mayron and Made You Look would be like my top recommended things for me personally. But I like that We Love Color has kind of the color matching thing to help you take the guesswork out of it.
Yeah, especially if you ever wanted to cosplay as a tiefling from Baldur's Gate or D&D. Comes in handy if you want to cosplay Jester from Critical Role too.
Yep, Jester. Whether you want to bring a Lore Olympus cosplay to a convention, all the Homestuck cosplayers from back in the day don't have to paint themselves gray anymore. If they like,
don't have to do the whole Sharpie bath, from what I've been hearing.
some of those cosplayers have the most. Hey, listen to this and don't do what they did.
Or if you're cosplaying as Alistair from Has Been Hotel, for example, he has like a very like light ashy-ish gray skin tone. Don't and also, as we always say on this channel, when it comes to body paint, don't do blackface.
No blackface, please. You
Don't
can cosplay a
blackface.
character of a different race without changing your skin color, and it'll be great. I've done it. I cosplay Allura from Voltron. And I do it as a pasty white girl. And you know what? The very first time I posted it, one of the first people to message me was a black cosplayer who said, "Thank you for not changing your skin tone."
Same with,
And they asked to share my costume, just to be like, look, you can do it. You don't need to change your skin color.
Was it her when she was wearing her dress, or when she's
Yeah.
like wearing her Voltron outfit?
The dress. I did the princess dress.
Nice.
I wanted to make a princess dress.
Good show, toxic fandom.
I still love Voltron, and no one can make me hate it. But I definitely don't engage with the fandom anymore. Same thing with My Hero Academia. I don't engage with the fandom anymore.
Yeah,
But I will say they did my girl wrong in the end, and I can acknowledge that the end of Voltron sucked.
And yes, Uraka and Deku are a thing, people. Your little ships are. Sorry, I said what I said. You can fight me on that. Also, cosplay does not equal consent. I
Not
don't
at all.
care. Like, I get it with little kids. It's different because they don't know any better. But like when it's an adult or a teenager, and it's just like, as I say, cosplay is a work of art. You can look, but don't touch. And also, always ask permission to take a picture before you be a fucking dumbass and just. Sorry.
The most a little kid has ever done is given me a hug because they were excited. Like I'm that's okay. I'm like, oh, sweet little child saw, Disney princess or superhero they love and wanted to hug them. That's cute and sweet and innocent. You can tell when something is, harmless. And yeah, cosplay is not consent. So
or if you're my oh yeah, or if you're my niece and she sees people in person, she looks at them like a giant stuffed animal.
You want to hug it. You look fluffy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I commend those who do. I will commend those who do full on, like big build cosplays. And my only question is, I have a few questions. How do you move, and how do you go to the bathroom?
I did one really, really giant, like, armored costume. I did Mega Charizard X, and I had super, super big wings. I did it for the 2016 KomoriCon costume contest. I had to have my husband there with me to help de-armify me so I could go to the bathroom. Like, I literally could not get in and out of that costume without assistance. It was that encumbersome. So I couldn't sit in it without taking the wings off, and that was the whole process. So.
And who is that one character? I saw it on your Instagram. Who's that one character you're cosplaying from World of Warcraft?
Oh, Valera Sanguinar, my one made of duct tape.
Yeah, that's it's impressive what you can do. And that was
I won an online costume contest it was for Hearthstone. So she is from World of Warcraft, but Blizzard did a Hearthstone costume contest online. Kamui Cosplay was actually one of my judges, and Hoku props. Super, I love Hoku and Sammy Chad and Sammy are wonderful. But Chad was one of the judges on that as well. He helped, and Talk Customs was the host, and my friend Alkali Lake. She at the time worked for Blizzard and was the reason they did the costume contest. But they had a category called Goblin Craft, and so you had to make something with not normal materials, and it listed like cardboard and paint and duct tape. And I had remembered seeing the Stuck on Prom scholarship back in the day when I was in high school, where you made your prom outfit out of duct tape and you could maybe get a scholarship. And I had always wanted to do it, but my parents never bought me duct tape. So I'm an adult with adult money. I went out and bought a bunch of duct tape, and I made the bodysuit, the pauldrons, the hood, the boots are all duct tape and cardboard.
That's really impressive. Like I could, for when I saw that, I couldn't tell if that was. So I recognize the armor and the big long blood elf ears. And it's like, is that okay? Like I wasn't sure at first if that was Lady Sylvanas Windrunner. It's like, oh wait, no, Sylvanas is different.
Yeah, different color palette. Sylvanas has lots of
Mm-hmm.
purple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, Valera
Really well.
Sanguinar. Yep, all
Yeah,
duct
it's like
tape.
speaking of big build cosplays. I guess might as well talk about that real quick before we go into your cosplays. Advice for someone who wants to make, there are people who, when they get into cosplay making, they make simple stuff. But what about when someone they don't want to do that. They basically say, screw the tutorial. I want to make a big build cosplay for my first cosplay. What's some advice you'd want to give for that?
Go for it. I mean, that's kind of the person I am. I like try it. Why not? Like I learned so much making that big Charizard costume. So like I said, I made it in 2016. I started cosplaying in 2014. I took a year off for a deployment. So really, I'd been cosplaying barely a year and wanted to make a giant armor costume. So I'm kind of all about the just go for it. And there's so many things wrong with that costume. It won best original costume for that costume contest. I won a prize for it, but I could do so much better now. But go for it. Do it. Commit. Try it. Try it.
That's some real sound advice.
The worst that's going to happen is you fail and you try again. If you don't try, then you'll just never try.
Yeah, no. As Shiloh above once said, just do it. Now onto the cosplays you've done. What's that one cosplay you've not done in so long that you would like to bring back?
Ooh, oh my gosh.
And we're getting into the curveball questions now.
Cosplay that I'd like to bring back. It kind of feels like every time I do a costume, that's like there's so many things I know I could go back and redo and be better at, or would have fun like bringing a character back. But I'm also always excited to do the next thing that I don't really think there's anything I'd actually want to like bring back. I do think I would like to remake a Lady Sif costume, like revisit my very, very first cosplay, because I have so many skills now. And I wouldn't make the same version I did because I did a really simplistic comic version. Like I'd want to do something over the top, super elaborate. Like it would not look like the same character based on just like the amount of work I'd want to put into it. So I think doing a super upgraded, crazy version of Lady Sif would probably be the only character that I want to bring back that I don't already. I bring back like my Supergirl outfit because it's easy to wear. It's like my most worn costume because I do charity events in it and stuff. But I think
And the best thing about Supergirl, you both have blue eyes.
And for a while I was actually blonde. Like while I was still in the military, I was just blonde, so I didn't have to wear a wig for that one. It was real nice. Yeah, just being blonde and blue-eyed made it real easy. But yeah.
Now, the Supergirl, is it the one where she wears the red skirt and everything, or like her OG
Yep.
look?
I do the red skirt, yellow belt, long sleeve, blue top, red cape, red boots.
See, I didn't know that's what Supergirl looked like. I got introduced to her animated series look where it was the white shirt and everything.
I don't do any open midriff.
Oh, that's fair.
Every single costume that would like, because I do Harley, and Harley's New 52 has open midriff. I modify all my costumes.
See, there's nothing wrong with modifying your cosplay to fit your cosplay needs. Like I totally, for someone who I'm the same way. I want to alter in any way I can because I'm 6'2" and yeah.
I very much wanted to do a comic book version of Supergirl, and it was originally because I was asked to make Supergirl to join a Wonder Woman and a Batgirl to do children's hospital visits. It was Wonder Woman PDX Sierra and Cytobe Cosplay Sydney. They they asked me to join them as their Supergirl. So I very much made a
Oh,
comic
nice.
book one to go with their comic
I'm familiar
vibes.
with Citaby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
They Wonder Woman PDX Sierra, she hasn't been in cosplay for a while, but that's because she had babies. So she's being a mom. And then like the pandemic made it so we couldn't visit and all that kind of stuff. So it's like,
Yeah, no. No, but I commend like people who, you know, whether they're married or they have kids, and they'll like try to get their families, you know, their personal families involved in the cosplay as well. And I think if, you know, if your kid likes it, you know, there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm gonna make my kiddo dress up until she tells me no.
Speaking of, you know, this is like probably like it's been a minute since I've had a cosplay parent on. What's it been like being a cosplay mom and cosplaying with your kid?
Oh my gosh. It has been the biggest shift in my like relation to the cosplay community. Um, and has also then now opened up some really fun new connections and experiences. Becoming a parent definitely changes a lot of things, but including my kiddo in dressing up and stuff, because I took her to Rose City not this year but the year before, and I did 2 maternity photos in costume. I did Scarlet Witch
Oh
from
yeah, I saw that one when
WandaVision,
she was wearing her outfit from the
the 70s.
70s.
Yep. I did that one. And then I also, so my Supergirl costume is great 4-way stretch. And I wore it when I was peak pregnant, literally took photos the day before I went into labor in this costume. And then I made my baby dress up as Supergirl at her first convention. So we actually were matching
Oh,
mom Supergirl and baby Supergirl outfits at the convention. So I have these like while I was pregnant photos, and then when she's a year old photos of her, like, yeah.
see
So
that's the best thing
very
about
special.
superhero. That's the best thing about superhero outfits. They're very stretchy.
I was so shocked I was able to put it on while I was super pregnant.
So
It
this is like what? You're sure you're like what 6 months pregnant at the time then? So that's
I
like
was
peak
that full
pregnant.
not literally it was the day before I went into labor. So I was full like
Oh
9 months
man,
pregnant.
commitment right there.
I did both. Like my photos were the last week they could have been. I did the WandaVision on Sunday with a
Mhm.
photographer, and I did Supergirl selfies. And then by Friday, I was having a baby. So
Man, you
it
were
was.
just like bing bang boom before you had the kid. I mean, commitment right there. You know,
Mhm, mhm.
I have to give props where props are due. Um, so now I call these cosplays one and dones, or cosplays that like you've done once because a friend asked you to, or you were curious, and just like you just like stopped doing it because it just didn't really fit the vibe. What's that one and done cosplay that like
Ooh.
just like it would take like a lot to like want to potentially bring them back too.
You know, I don't think I actually have any of those because I've never been pulled into anything with anybody. I'm always the one who's pulled other people into stuff, or I volunteered to like I picked something that I like liked doing. So it's like I don't think there's anything that I was just like, "Oh, I would never do it again." For like or wouldn't want to or yeah. Mm. I mean, I did a Link costume for a April Fool's event, and so I don't really think I'm gonna like wear it. It was the idea was because everyone, you know, the game's called Legend of Zelda, so a lot of people call Link the whole confusion of Link and Zelda. So
Yeah.
we were all posting that we because the newer game was coming out. This was like back when the newer game, like this was a couple years ago.
Oh, this is
So
probably when like Tears of the Kingdom or Breath
I
of the
think so.
Wild then.
Yeah. So the idea was we were posting about the new game and we were all saying we were Zelda, but everyone was a Link cosplayer. So I guess
Oh
that's
yeah.
probably a one and done because I did
That
it for
would
a joke and
that
I
would
like
count.
I made the shirt, I made the hat, I bought the other pieces. I don't think I'll actually cosplay Link again. I did like wearing the outfit, but I don't think I'd cosplay Link again probably.
No,
Like
that's
I mean, I don't like if a friend was like, "I need a Link for a photo shoot," maybe.
That that's fair. Let's see here. What is a comfort cosplay? Like, it's a cosplay you'll like no matter what, any given chance you'll wanna dress up in that character.
I have two, Supergirl
Okay.
and Mimikyu.
Oh yeah, I saw your mimic. Really well done, by the way.
I was like, those two. Those are my two most worn costumes. They have been to the most conventions because
And
they'll be my Sunday costumes or what I, comfy, easy to recognize. Yeah. So Mimikyu and Supergirl are my go-to comfy cosplays. They stay actively in my closet, readily available. If I'm gonna need something to dress up, I'm probably grabbing one of those two.
nice, very nice. Now, future cosplays. Oh wait, one more question I forgot to ask. What's it been like being part of? What's that group that made group you're part of or were part of?
The cosplay coven.
Coven cosplay. Yeah, so I forgot to ask, what's that been like being part of the cosplay coven? Because you weren't on when I interviewed them a few years back.
Being a part of a cosplay group that has done the things we've done has been so cool and so unique because at like as we were finishing up this KimoriCon as our like last one doing this as a group just because everybody's
Was
lives have changed.
was that back in 2023? If I'm not
No,
mistaken.
when you interviewed them, I think
No,
you
no, because I remember you guys were at. No, I interviewed them a few years back, but I remember
yeah.
seeing you guys at KimoriCon last year.
Yeah, we were at KimoriCon last year, and we were at KimoriCon this year again. This year,
Oh, okay.
2024 was our last year. So we just had our last one that we did together. But we made 10 different costumes for KimoriCon. We made 10 different Ghost Neko costumes. We started doing this as a joke in 2017 and did a skit in 2018, and then were officially hired by Kumo in 2019 and have been working with them every year since. And I can't think of another group of cosplayers who have worked that long with a convention cosplaying its mascot in these original takes that we've done and doing opening ceremony videos every single year, the countdown to Kumo videos that we've done the last few years, even doing the social media takeovers we had done in the past, all the panels we've ran. I, it was kind of a crazy journey to have. And so like a whirlwind of like just over 5 years officially working with KimoriCon. We did the Ghost Neko stuff for about 7.
Nice.
Just a really crazy surreal experience that I don't think many cosplayers are ever going to get to have because of the amount of work and time and commitment it all took.
Yeah, no, and I think the people in the cosplay coven are really great people. I remember last year during the closing ceremonies where you were all basically cleaning up after the con. You were all wearing like the like the purple jumpsuits and everything. I thought it was
Mm-hmm.
like the coolest thing ever. It was hilarious too, by the way.
Oh my gosh. We had to get a use out of those jumpsuits because we originally made them for a project that KimoriCon had to cancel.
It's like, well, like we still have them. Let's do something with them. Basically.
100%. We finished off this year by getting masks that we put they had little like umbrellas logos on and they looked like Squid Games. We put the hoods up and we looked like the
Ooh,
Squid Game guys.
if you have pictures, I wanna see. I gotta put that on here
I
really
think I might
briefly.
have some. I'll try and find some of them.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if we actually got a group picture or not.
Well, if you
We
have
just
like
kind of did
pic,
it for the shock value.
well, fair enough. Now cosplays you plan on doing for next year, and what is that all like that dream cosplay? Like it's a cosplay you always wanted to do, but right now it's just not in the budget and not in the skill level at the moment.
Okay, cosplays for this next year. I'm doing a lot of original stuff. Like
Ooh.
I'm embracing more of my fantasy stuff. Like this past year, I did a random dress for my birthday and a fairy dress, and I have a few more plans for things like that. But I am in a photo shoot group that's planning an ACOTAR photo shoot, which is a book series, A Court of Thorns and Roses.
I've never
And
heard of that.
it's a really popular fantasy romance series, super popular. There's potential. It's not official which character I'm going to cosplay from that, but it's either going to be Mor, Nesta, or Gwyn. That makes sense to people who know the characters. If you don't worry about it.
Hmm.
One of those potentially for a photo shoot. Uh, Dream costume is pretty easy, actually. I want to do my own take someday, because I have like base sketches done, but the character's Wonder Woman, my namesake. My name is Samazon. That's been my derby name, and it's because Wonder Woman has always been my favorite superhero since I was small. Because I struggled with my femininity a lot, and seeing a super strong, amazing woman who could do more than the boys most of the time was, an icon. And watching Linda Carter on TV,
she don't need no man to protect her. She's the one who protects the man.
exactly. And the fact that she was super tall and super athletic, and that was how I grew up, being really tall and athletic. I needed someone like that to kind of like be that icon. Um, so that's why I haven't cosplayed her yet, is because that character means too much to me to just do any version.
You want to do her justice.
I want to do like a Greek goddess version with like imagine Athena fully armored while also being ethereal at the same time, really going for that motif. I want to create like a shield and do like the pottery motifs from ancient Greece, like do some of her most iconic fight scenes, like her and Cheetah, her and Ares, on a shield. So lots of my version, my vision, pulling pieces from comic artists throughout history, preferably all the female artists who've worked on Wonder Woman in her comics. So it's my love letter to Wonder Woman is my dream cosplay. It is something. It's a passion project.
It'd be cool if you ever got to meet Linda Carter too.
Oh, I would die. I would
I
die.
mean, now another thing I'm going to add on here. I kind of got the idea is like cosplays. I think you could also like I could see people do if that's okay.
Absolutely.
I think out of have you? I don't know if you ever considered doing Batgirl at all?
I absolutely have. I actually was super obsessed with Batgirl when I was little, and for one Halloween, I couldn't pick between two costumes, and my parents let me have both. I was Xena and Batgirl for the same Halloween.
Nice, Lucy. I mean,
Lucy Lawless
sorry,
is flawless.
Lucy Flawless for sure. Have you ever thought about doing like her? Because my personal favorite outfit of Batgirl is her new 52 look, all the purple and everything.
Yes, with the purple. Yes, with the purple and the her hair sticking out under her cowl. Like
we were still robbed of that Batgirl movie, and we could have got Brendan Fraser as Firefly. I do like the fact that her look was based off her new 52 look.
Mm.
We were wrong.
Yeah, no, I definitely the purple definitely had me as a fan. Purple is my favorite color.
The purple, the black, cowl, and then the yellow boots, and then the yellow gloves and everything like that. That's
it was like, great visual. Great
like
visual.
Her new 52 look is just like a rugged look to the character, in my personal opinion. That is my all-time favorite Batgirl look. And her original from the animated series and all, but like the new 52 look is probably the best. And I imagine something like that would be like a fun challenge for you too, if you ever did make her new 52 look.
Definitely, that would be a fun one. That would be a lot of fun.
And now on to my personal favorites. These are questions I always like asking at towards the end. Have you ever had any cosplay mishaps, like a cosplay or a prop ripped, snapped, you're getting ready to go to the con and something happened, or you just got done with the photo shoot and the next thing you know, you just anything that could go wrong with the cosplay did go
wrong? Okay. I've had like my first costume ever, the Lady Sif. I used some air dry clay when I definitely shouldn't have used air dry clay in certain things. So a piece of a belt broke and I just kind of like double-sided taped it at the con. I had some armor design problems with the Mega Charizard X costume that left it a little damaged after wearing it around for a day. So I had symmetrical shin guards where the flames went in together, and so they like broke when I was walking.
I think I've seen that on your Instagram. The cosplay,
so like now I want to redesign it so they go outward, kind of thing. And so like the biggest mishap I think I ever had was just like a costume contest that went really bad, and that wasn't on me at any point. Like I have been so lucky that none of my costumes have actually broken, fallen apart, or anything like that. Like the biggest thing that like left me in tears at a con was a bad costume contest, because they didn't follow any of the, they had you write a bunch of stuff out, for your walk on, the music to play, the way the light should go. You get up there, they ask you, do you want the lights on or off? And I'm like, well, they're supposed to be off and then come on. And they're like, well, do you want them on or off? I'm like, I guess I want them on. So then it just, my lights were off pretty much my entire time I was on stage. So no one actually got to see my costume on stage.
You wanted to make it look like a surprise, basically, and then it just.
I wanted to walk on with the lights off and they would come on because my dress had lights.
Ooh,
So you only,
what cosplay was that?
I did a Love Live Halloween look for Daya, and I added lights to my skirt as a bonus. So I wanted to walk on with just the twinkly skirt going, and then the stage lights would come up and you'd see the full ball gown.
Sounds more like a miscommunication error on their part.
Yeah, no, it was. A ton of other people had mishaps with their stuff. Like, we had done a tech rehearsal and they had let people do things that then during the show they weren't letting them do. It fine, yeah, it some main event issues behind that one. So it left a lot of us in tears, actually, and it was a really like not fun. Like, the year before, that same contest the year before had been the best, and then now was like the worst.
Must have been like, it sounds like they also had new people as well.
They did. The main person who was supposed to run it, there was some personal matters, behind the scenes stuff, but it just that was the worst thing I ever had happen. It did leave me in tears. The nice thing was, though, afterwards I was invited to a Halloween themed photo shoot out of the blue, and so it kind of picked up the evening. So there was a turnaround.
There was a silver lining, at least.
Yes, yeah. So I've been really lucky, and I've never had big costume mishaps or anything like that. So I've lucked out.
Now another question. This is probably my personal favorite. I call it WTF convention moments. Like, it's just a weird moment at a con that made you go like, did that actually just happen? To like, okay, I just need just kind of like creeping me out. I'm just gonna go this way. Like, just weird, what the hell moments.
I don't think if I've had any, I've blocked them out at this point.
Fair.
My brain really only likes to think about like the good stuff. So right now, the only ones coming to mind is more of a like, oh my God, did that just happen, with more like a smile attached, not. Yeah, I don't think I've had any like.
That brings me to my next question. What has been your favorite convention moment? Like, to this day, it is something that like just made you happy, and it was because it was like the coolest thing ever.
Gosh, I still think that I don't think anything has ever truly topped the high I felt on my first costume contest stage walk, and hearing people cheering for me walking across the stage. When I was Lady Sif, because like hearing the MC introduce me, and then walking out and hearing the cheers, and like I had a friend in the audience who like screamed my name, and just like having that be the end of a day that already felt so amazing. I don't think anything has ever truly topped that exhilaration of just feeling so seen in the community I love. So yeah, I don't think anything's ever actually topped
like in your mind, like the Overwatch victory theme was playing in your head and everything.
Yeah, I remember just the bright lights of being on stage, the seeing all these bodies in front of you. You hear the sounds of cheering. You can't see most of the faces because of the lights, but just knowing that they're all just as excited to be there as you are, and just as excited to cheer for all of these people, because we're all a bunch of nerds. I don't know. It was just like, yeah, one of those perfect moments that will stick with me forever. And it's like, it's not even winning or losing. It was just the moment I was on stage.
No, I mean, and I know I just know from someone who's actually emceed 2 cons, like, you can always tell like the people that are excited to come on and those who are nervous. But like when you have the audience cheering for you, it kind of gives you that little boost of confidence. Like, yeah, you're still slightly nervous, but like these people are cheering for you because
Yes.
you have such a cool cosplay. It doesn't matter
Yes.
what your cosplay skill level is, but
Hmm.
like it's still like a cool thing. And I think if anyone gets the chance to enter a cosplay contest, because there are a bunch of cons now that have like non-made categories where if like you didn't make the cosplay, but like they want people to still have that chance of going up on stage.
Yeah, there's something to just embodying your character or showing off. Like, sure, you're not going to win, but why not cross that stage and, you know, get that experience? I think performance based or even just the, hey, you did a cool, that you put together a cool costume because you did get all the pieces together. Why not walk the stage and show off what you put together, even if it's not a craftsmanship thing to win?
No, I wholeheartedly agree. And finally, before we end this, any last minute advice you want to give out there to those who are listening and or watching this interview?
Do the things that make you happy. You gotta do the things. You don't just talk about the things. Do the things.
Just basically just do
Yeah,
it.
honestly, that in life, the best advice in my 31 years of living is to actually go out and do the things, especially the things that make you happy.
Yeah, no, I mean, as the old saying goes, you only live once, so make the best of it, especially when it comes to, like you said, the things you love, because not everyone gets that opportunity to do the things they love, and I think if you can do it, it's
Absolutely.
really it's really sound advice, in my opinion.
You'll be happier if you did the thing.
Oh yeah, true. And last but not least, where can people find you on social media if they want to stay up to date with your cosplays or any conventions you may appear at to where they may potentially want to meet you?
I was like, I am Samazon Creations on pretty much all my social media. The only time that differs is if it's my book stuff where it's Samazon Reads because I'm a
Ooh,
big reader. So I made a separate book account because I didn't want to spam all the cosplay people with all the book stuff. Um, very Pacific Northwest local. I'm mostly active on Instagram and TikTok, a little bit on like Blue Sky and Threads and whatever, but I just like making things and doing stuff.
there is nothing wrong with that. Again, Sam, thank you for coming on to talk about your cosplay and convention experience. Hopefully, to see you at a future con later down the road. Like
Yes.
with any cosplayer I have on here, I always want to try to thank them person for coming on because
Mhm.
the guests make the channel. I just record, edit, and post. But again, thank you for coming on for this episode.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And as always, I am Wayne the Unknown. Until next time, thank you for listening, and as always, thank you for watching.